If you are looking forward to the third fight between Conor and Poirier, then be sure to show this by smashing the like button.
Anything can happen in this game, and
I took the fight and it didn't pay off. This is the fight business. It's another day. I'll come back.
Kul olayım kalem tutan ellere, katip arzu halim yaz yâre böyle, şekerler ezeyim şirin dillere.
Thank you for joining me once again, and welcome back to Keaton K TV. In this video, let us go over why Conor McGregor can defeat the Diamond Dustin Poirier in their trilogy fight. I will also be making another video talking about why Dustin can win, so be sure to like and subscribe to my channel with the bell notification turned on so you don't miss that video when it drops. But with that said, let us jump right into the video. From the get-go, we have to tackle the biggest question mark surrounding Conor McGregor and the third fight, which is how can Conor deal with the leg kicks going into the third fight? Now obviously I have made a video talking about Conor needing to implement a more wide stance, but that didn't immediately mean that the wide stance will be taking away the ability of Dustin Poirier to kick him. If anything, if Conor resorts to a more wide stance, he is more likely and he's more susceptible to getting kicked. That was not the point of what I said. The point was the range that he establishes when he is fighting in a very wide stance and a very wide guard. If you take a look at the way that he is able to palm out into the distance and look at immediately how he's setting up a way longer, rangier distance than the rematch, and by doing that, he's able to see incoming strikes way better. And what that does in return for Conor is he's able to freeze Dustin Poirier at a long range because Dustin is not a long-ranged fighter. That is how Conor was able to beat him in the first fight anyway. He starts the fight off, boom, immediately a hook kick. From there he follows it up with a spinning back kick to the body. Then he throws a big head kick and he just maintains this long range. And why do you think that really mattered from the first fight? It mattered because it built up desperation and anxiety in that octagon. The more time Dustin Poirier went without a successful strike connecting or something working in his favor, the more that he was able to question himself and the more that he was able to get frozen up by Conor. And so immediately, what I envisioned Conor McGregor to do in the rematch is to fight a little bit more longer ranged with a more open guard. However, Conor has to maintain more range beyond his reach, and by having that extra range beyond his reach, he can then feint or perhaps kick to the body, kick to the head. But in any given situation, Conor is better off at that range than he is in a close pocket range because Dustin is able to check hook him, he's able to beat him to the punch, and he's able to fight better in the pocket than Conor. Most of Conor's punches are straight punches, so in the pocket Conor's not that good anyway. So immediately Conor has to put himself in a favorable position to not get kicked that much. And so then we have to move over to our second part of this leg kicking game. And now we arrive at the reality and the harsh truth of the matter. Conor McGregor is going to get leg kicked. He's going to have to eat a few leg kicks. This is just the nature of the beast. You can't go swimming without getting wet, and you can't fight without getting punched or kicked. But the rate at which he's able to get hit can be really altered by what I just said earlier if he's able to establish a greater distance. That is true. But what is also true is this. As much as Dustin Poirier can leg kick Conor McGregor can leg kick Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is not a fighter who is this magic magical calf-kicking elite fighter in the division. No, he is very much so susceptible of getting leg kicked himself. If we look at the Gaethje fight, Gaethje was tearing into his leg as much as Dustin was onto Conor, if not more. And so the immediate question becomes this. We know that against a southpaw fighter, Conor McGregor's range and reach is greatly altered, but so is Dustin Poirier's. And so when Dustin can kick Conor, so can Conor right away. This is what we saw against Nathan Diaz in both fights. Conor immediately, even in the first fight, was able to establish a good leg kicking game. But in rematch, you saw how he changed his game around to be more effective and efficient. And that is when you saw Conor McGregor throw a lot more leg kicks. Be patient at that great distance. When he comes in, feint, and then throw a leg kick. The same thing that Conor McGregor could have done in the rematch against Dustin, he did against Diaz. And this is not to say that Conor did not throw any leg kicks. He threw a few and they landed pretty effectively. So then the question becomes, if he can do it, and if he can do it effectively, he should do it right away in the rematch. What Conor McGregor should also do right away in the rematch is go ahead and bring his kicks up high. Just by having a wide stance and wide guard is not going to enable Conor McGregor to maintain a great distance. If all Conor McGregor has is a wide guard, then he's just going to get that leg eaten up just the same way Eddie Alvarez did in their fight in the opening round. He's able to maintain distance if he's able to go ahead and throw long-ranged kicks, back kicks to the body, spinning heel kicks, high kicks, things of that nature. By being able to establish that right away, he's able to box in Dustin Poirier right away. And as soon as he has Dustin Poirier boxed in, Conor McGregor this time around has to be conservative in the way that he throws his boxing punches. He cannot force his way in. We saw that even when he tried to force his way in, Dustin Poirier's defense was solid, and whatever attack Conor even attempted, it looked weak anyway. And if it didn't look weak, the offense was getting countered by the check hook. So McGregor has to adjust how many strikes in the boxing department he throws when he's able to come forward and when he has Dustin Poirier backed up, because just immediately teeing off on him is not going to help him. He has to set him up, and he has to set him up early. And this is when the kicks come into play. Featherweight Conor McGregor was a very free fighter. He would spin a lot, he would kick a lot, he wouldn't really rely on his boxing too much to create openings or pressure. The Conor McGregor that showed up in the second fight against Dustin was a completely different fighter. He was forcing a lot more action with his boxing, and he was not caring too much of keeping distance and making Dustin Poirier throw. But this time around, Conor McGregor, when he's pressuring, yes, he has to maintain distance, he has to maintain a somewhat longer range, but he has to go ahead and leg kick himself. He has to go ahead and feint. He has to go ahead, teep kick Dustin Poirier, back him up, high kick him. If Dustin Poirier tries to go to the right side or left side, stop that with a high kick or a spinning heel kick, box him in, throw a teep kick to the body, hurt his gas tank, and then just wait what the openings present. What I saw in Dustin Poirier in the rematch was very impressive. He was able to take so many big shots from Conor, and he was able to eat them. And so Conor McGregor, even when he threw his best shots, even when they were clean and effective, they didn't truly put Dustin Poirier in danger. Yes, they hurt him, yes they did, but what did he do with it? What did he really get out of it? Not that much. So how is Conor McGregor going to get more out of it when he's forcing the action? It's not really going to be when Conor's forcing the action when these big shots come. It is when he has Dustin Poirier backed up in a manner, and he can find the right opening or the right counterpunch window that he can then go in and throw his shots. And the more that he can connect with these clean shots, the better he is. Now, the reality of the matter is this is a 5-round fight. Conor cannot go in there and just do what he did in the first fight. Again, he can't afford that. He has to fight a lot more calm, a lot more patient, just like he did against Diaz in the rematch. Throw your kicks, keep your range, and just show that you have the better understanding of range and that you can land the better shots. And by keeping this attitude and method of fighting, I believe Conor McGregor can not only maintain a stamina, he can maintain a tempo. And that is the most important thing in this fight. Because if he can maintain a tempo and the range, Conor has already much less to worry about than what he did in the first fight. Because if you really took a look at the way Dustin Poirier was landing his leg kicks, they were mostly coming when Conor McGregor was coming into him. When Dustin Poirier was landing his best shots, it was when Conor McGregor was coming into him recklessly or staying in a pocket for too long. So what I'm trying to say is this: don't give the round to Dustin Poirier. Don't give Dustin Poirier the opportunity to get into the fight, because it is better off for you to pressure Dustin Poirier, maybe hit him with one leg kick or a jab, and stare at him for the next 20 seconds. seconds, because you're better off winning the sequence than forcing the action and potentially giving up positions, giving up your momentum, and getting scored on and getting countered. It is just not worth it. You have 5 rounds to find your opening and crack him. You have plenty of time. You don't have to rush anything. Yes, you said that you were going to dust Dustin in 60 seconds. Yes, you did. But regardless of any of that, reality is ultimately the ultimate truth teller. I also want to talk about the boxing of Conor McGregor, because it seems like the idea that Conor McGregor somehow got worse in his boxing or the way that he fought was not effective is just completely ludicrous. Conor got better in his boxing, that's for sure. If you really take a closer look, Conor McGregor is able to get in range better than what he was able to when he was a featherweight. He's able to have a lot more power in his right hand instead of his left hand. He's able to have a lot more pop in his lead and uppercut. He's able to set up the opponent much better to immediately shoot in the left straight. He's better at that. And so I believe that he has to utilize those tools once again. But those tools have to be utilized in a manner where they are not overused. The novelty cannot wear out. His methods can't be figured out. He just can't let that happen. So yes, as much as Conor McGregor has to throw his leg kicks as well, has to throw his kicks, has to maintain distance, he also has to come forward and pressure Dustin Poirier to a point where Dustin has to only worry about defense. And that doesn't always come with just kicking and teep kicking and just keeping the range, because then Dustin Poirier can set up Conor McGregor. Because if Conor McGregor is expecting to counter by slipping a shot and then going in for a left straight counter, Dustin Poirier can bait that reaction out of Conor and shoot him for a takedown just like he did in the first fight. So McGregor has to balance out everything to an absolute perfection, and I believe he can do it. And by doing that, I believe the quality punches, the quality kicks will start to wear on Dustin Poirier. And it is only a matter of time before one of these shots really hurt Dustin and Conor is able to put the pressure on Dustin and find a TKO finish. I truly believe McGregor can do it. But in the end, only time will tell what will truly happen. Until then, this was why Conor McGregor can defeat Dustin Poirier in the trilogy. Leave in the comment section down below who you think will win come fight night. As always, I have been Keenan from Keenan KTV, signing off. Later.